This NFL coaching carousel, it's spinning faster than ever this year.
Yeah, it really is.
We're going to dive deep into one rumor in particular today, and that's Ben Johnson,
Oh, yeah.
the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions, potentially becoming the head coach for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting development. Just a few days ago, this wasn't even a thing, and now
Right.
all of a sudden it seems like there's a ton of momentum, and people around the league are really buzzing about this possibility.
So Ben Johnson, just 38 years old, orchestrated a top-ranked offense for the Lions
Oh,
this
yeah.
past season. I mean, we're talking number one in yards,
Wow.
points per game.
Yeah,
The guy is a certified offensive guru.
for sure.
Now the Raiders coming off a rough 4-13 season,
Yeah.
which led to some major changes. I mean, they fired their head coach, Antonio Pierce.
Yep.
And then they made a somewhat surprising move by also letting go of their general manager, Tom Telesco, after only 1 year. That's right, they really hit the reset button, which seems to indicate that they want to completely overhaul things, and they're willing to maybe take some risks or be bold to try to turn things around.
And that's where Ben Johnson comes in.
Yeah.
Reports are swirling that the Raiders are enamored with Johnson and are prepared to wait for him to become available, even if it means missing out on other candidates.
Right.
Which suggests that they view him as a long-term solution, not just a quick fix.
Yeah, it's unusual to see a team this committed to a first-time head coach.
Yeah.
It seems to imply that they're willing to give him a lot of control, maybe even let him have a say in picking the new general manager.
And if this story wasn't interesting enough already, there's another layer to all of this. Tom Brady.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Remember, he's a minority owner of the Raiders now, and sources are saying that Brady himself is enamored with Johnson and has gone so far as to personally vouch for him to the team.
It's interesting. So now you have to wonder, how much influence does Brady actually have within the Raiders organization?
Yeah.
Is this just, a friendly suggestion, or is he actively shaping the Raiders' decisions?
It definitely adds a whole new dimension to the situation.
Yeah, it really does.
Speaking of dimensions, we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the quarterback situation.
Right.
The Raiders currently don't have a clear-cut starter.
Yeah.
Now, Johnson has stated in the past that he prefers teams with an established quarterback.
Right.
So how does that factor into his decision?
That's a great point. On the one hand, you have teams like the Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence,
Mm-hmm.
the Patriots with Mac Jones, and the Bears, who look like they're going to draft Caleb Williams.
Oh, yeah.
All of those teams are vying for Johnson, and they all have these young quarterbacks that they could build around, which is a huge plus for an offensive-minded coach.
So what are the Raiders bringing to the table besides, the bright lights of Vegas?
Well, I think for Johnson, the Raiders present a really unique opportunity because it's basically a blank canvas. He would have the chance to build the team from the ground up and potentially even have a say in who their next quarterback's going to be, whether it's through the draft or free agency.
So a chance to create his own offensive dynasty.
Exactly.
But wouldn't it be easier to go to a team that has a quarterback already a proven commodity?
It might be easier, but there's also something really appealing about being able to shape a team in your own image and have that level of control right from the beginning.
Wow.
The Raiders are essentially handing Johnson the keys to the kingdom and saying, we trust you to build something special here.
So they're giving him control, but don't they also have some major drawbacks, especially when you look at their division?
Yeah.
I mean, the AFC West is a beast.
It's a tough division, no doubt about it. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, you got Justin Herbert with the Chargers, and now Sean Payton has landed in Denver. It's a gauntlet of elite quarterbacks and top-tier coaching.
Pretty intimidating even for a seasoned coach, let alone a rookie head coach.
Yeah.
I mean, would Johnson want to walk into that situation right out of the gate?
Yeah, it's a valid concern.
Yeah.
It would definitely be a trial by fire, but, let's not forget the Raiders also have a significant amount of cap space. They have the financial flexibility to allow Johnson to reshape the roster, to bring in players that fit his vision and his offensive scheme.
That's a good point. But wouldn't you be concerned about the lack of an established front office? I mean, they just fired their general manager.
True. There's a level of uncertainty there for
Yeah.
sure, but you can also look at it as a positive. Johnson would have even more influence in shaping the team's direction. It's high risk, high reward.
For sure.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like the Raiders are all in on Ben Johnson, offering him a level of control and autonomy that's pretty rare for a first-time head coach. But is that enough to offset the challenges they face, like that brutal AFC West competition and the lack of an established quarterback?
I mean, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really boils down to what Ben Johnson prioritizes, at this point in his career. Does he value the chance to build a team from scratch over the stability of an existing structure?
Yeah, I guess some coaches, they're just drawn to that blank canvas,
That's right.
opportunity to kind of create something entirely their own. But wouldn't it be tempting to go to a team where you could hit the ground running with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence or even Mac Jones?
I mean, there's no doubt that having a young, talented quarterback in place is a huge advantage. Those teams offer a more immediate path to success. But the Raiders, they're clearly betting on Johnson's potential, and they're willing to be patient.
It is interesting that they're willing to wait for him. It shows a level of commitment you don't often see, especially with a team that's coming off a losing season. But what if he turns them down? They could miss out on other qualified candidates while they're waiting for Johnson to make up his mind.
It's a gamble, for sure. But it speaks to how highly they regard him. They believe he's worth the wait. And let's not forget, the Raiders have a history of making these bold moves. Sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't.
Right. Okay, so we've talked about some of the potential upsides for Johnson if he chooses the Raiders. But let's flip the script. What are some of the reasons why he might say no thanks to Las Vegas?
Well, we've already touched on the quarterback situation, and while it might not be a deal breaker, it's certainly a factor to consider. And then there's the competition in the AFC West, as we discussed.
Yeah.
It's a division loaded with talent, and it's only going to get tougher with Sean Payton at the helm in Denver.
Yeah, it's not exactly an ideal environment for a rookie head coach to cut his teeth. You're essentially thrown into the deep end with some of the best coaches and quarterbacks in the league.
Exactly. It's a trial by fire. And while Johnson might be up for the challenge, it's understandable why someone might see it as a daunting prospect, especially when you consider that these other teams vying for his services offer a greater degree of stability.
You're talking about the Jaguars, the Patriots, and the Bears?
Precisely. Those teams have established general managers and front office structures in place. There's less uncertainty, less upheaval. With the Raiders, Johnson would be stepping into a situation where everything is in flux. He'd be part of a complete rebuild.
So it kind of comes down to this. Does Johnson crave the challenge of building a team from the ground up, even if it means facing a much steeper learning curve? Or does he prefer a more stable environment where he can focus on developing his offensive system and working with a young quarterback?
It's a fascinating dilemma, and ultimately only Ben Johnson knows the answer. But I think it's safe to say that the Raiders are offering him a very unique opportunity, one that have the potential to be both incredibly rewarding and incredibly challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely a high-stakes situation. If he can navigate the complexities of the Raiders organization, build a strong coaching staff, and find the right quarterback, he could create something truly special in Las Vegas.
But there's no guarantee of success. The AFC West is a tough division to crack, and the Raiders are still a team in transition. It'll take time, patience, and a little bit of luck to turn things around.
And let's not forget the Tom Brady factor. Having a legend like Brady as a mentor and minority owner could be an invaluable asset. But it could also add another layer of pressure and scrutiny.
It's a situation that will undoubtedly test Johnson's leadership and coaching abilities. But if he's successful, the rewards could be immense. He could build a legacy in Las Vegas and cement his place among the league's top coaches.
All right, so to recap, we have a young, innovative offensive mind in Ben Johnson. Suddenly the most sought-after coaching candidate in the NFL. We have a Raiders organization that is desperate for a turnaround and willing to give him the keys to the kingdom. And then we have this enigmatic presence of Tom Brady adding intrigue and potentially influencing the situation in ways we can only speculate about.
It's a recipe for a captivating off-season drama, and the outcome is far from certain. But one thing is for sure, this is a story that's going to continue to unfold in the weeks and months to come, and we'll be here to break it all down for you.
Absolutely. We'll be keeping a close eye on the Ben Johnson saga, along with all the other coaching carousel developments, and we'll be back with more deep dives to give you the insights and analysis you need to make sense of this ever-changing NFL landscape. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's put ourselves in Ben Johnson's shoes for a second.
Yeah.
If he does choose the Raiders, what kind of quarterback do you think he would target?
Well, they have the 6th overall pick in the upcoming draft, which puts him in a pretty good spot to snag a top prospect.
Yeah.
Johnson has shown that he can develop quarterbacks. And there were some intriguing options in this year's draft class. Someone like C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young could be a tempting choice.
Those are definitely some big names, but they might not even be available when the Raiders are on the clock. Do you think they'd consider trading up to get their guy?
It's definitely possible. If there's a quarterback that they really love, they might be willing to part with some future draft capital to move up and grab him. It's a risky move for sure, but it could pay off in the long run if they find their franchise quarterback.
And then, of course, you can't forget about the free agent market. There's always veteran quarterbacks out there looking for a fresh start. Someone like Jimmy Garoppolo, who's got experience winning in this league, could be an appealing option for a team that's looking to compete right away.
Yeah, Garoppolo's an interesting name for sure. I mean, he's been to the Super Bowl, he knows how to win, and he's familiar with the AFC West from his time with the 49ers, so he could be a good fit for Johnson's system.
He could be, but I gotta throw this out there, even though it might sound crazy. What if, and I'm just speculating here, what if Tom Brady, the mentor, the minority owner, the guy who seems to be pulling the strings behind the scenes, decides to come out of retirement again?
Whoa.
Ah.
Now, that would be a seismic shift in the NFL landscape. I mean, Brady has said multiple times that he's done playing, but you never know.
Yeah.
Stranger things have happened.
I know it's a long shot, but come on, the possibility is just too tantalizing to ignore. Imagine the storyline: Brady mentoring Johnson, passing the torch to the next generation, while simultaneously trying to compete in the toughest division in football. I mean, it would be the ultimate comeback story.
It would be a great story, no doubt about it. It'd definitely generate a ton of headlines and captivate the entire league. But, let's be realistic. The odds of Brady actually unretiring again are pretty slim.
Hmm.
Still, it's fun to think about. I mean, the NFL offseason is all about dreaming big and exploring all the possibilities.
That's what makes it so exciting, We get to analyze all the rumors, we debate the potential moves, and then we just eagerly await the start of the new season.
And who knows what surprises are in store for us. I mean, the NFL is a league where anything can happen, and that's part of what makes it so compelling to watch.
It really is. It's a world of unexpected twists and turns, and we wouldn't have it any other way. So for now, we'll keep a close eye on the Ben Johnson situation and all the other coaching carousel developments. And we'll be back with more deep dives to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of the NFL.
Until then, keep those theories coming, and remember, in the NFL, anything is possible.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the Ben Johnson coaching saga. We'll catch you next time for another fascinating exploration of the NFL.